Well, good morning, Unity of Music City. So good to see all your smiling faces. On behalf of Reverend Deb Moore, I am Ryan Gill. That's Jackson. That's Candy. We're all going to stand up and sing a couple of songs. It's a new month, and that means new songs for everybody. So let's stand up and sing them.
Ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, I got up this morning singing.
God is so good.
Oh, I got up this morning singing. God is so good. I got up this morning singing.
God is so good.
My God is so good to me. I'm feeling good down in my soul. Yeah, God is so good. I'm feeling good down in my soul. Yeah, God is so good. Feeling good down in my soul. Yeah, God is so good. My God is so good to me. Every day, in every way.
God is so good.
Oh, every day, in every way. God is so good. Every day, in every way.
God is so good.
My God is so good to me. And in my time of trial, I know
God is so good.
Oh, in my time of trial, I know God is so good. And in my time of trial, I know
God is so good.
my God is so good to me. And when my day is over, I know
God is so good.
and when my day is over, I know
God is so good.
and when my day is over, I know God is so good. My God is so good to me. Every day, in every way.
God is so good.
Every day, in every way. God is so good. Every day, in every way.
God is so good. My God is so.
My God is so. My God is so good to me. My God is so good to me. All right, that's a way to get it started. Now let's swing wide the doors.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Swing in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Spring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Well, I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. What's it about? It's about love. It's about laughter. It's about comfort and smiles. It's about love. It's about kindness. It's about hearts open wide. It's about love. It's about passion. It's about taking a chance. It's about love. It's about service. It's about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of his heart. Let's sing it again. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of his heart tonight. Right. Thank you so much, and please be seated. I see we have a youthful element in the room, so if you guys want to go with Miss Steph, you are dismissed.
So many churches that I'm saying, can I add this? Because as you know, most of us are older that are sitting in this room. As we get older and older, if we neglect to keep bringing in the new blood and bringing in the new
Yes,
blood,
that's right.
then we'll die in place.
Yep.
Sorry for almost breaking the crystal ball. Good morning, Unity of Music City.
Good morning.
Let's begin this portion of our service by taking a deep centering breath. Today's centering statement is, I am contributing to the flow of good in the universe. In the spiritual dimension, energy is energy. There is no good or bad, right or wrong. It all depends on how we choose to use our energy. Where will we place our energy within the constraints of our time? How will we use our energy to give of our talents and knowledge? How will we translate the physical treasures that we have received into ways that make our world a better place? The universe operates through dynamic exchange. The energies of giving and receiving operate within all of us and are different aspects of the flow of energy in the universe. Our work is to recognize where we are in our life balance. Are we giving as much as we receive? Are we receiving as much as we are giving? In our willingness to give back, we keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives and adding to the flow of positive energy on our planet. For some of us, giving is easy and receiving is more difficult. But when we receive from all that life has to offer by graciously accepting the good that comes our way, we are contributing to the greater cycle of love, joy, peace, and abundance in our lives. Of course, this doesn't mean that we should give because of what we'll get back, but when we give with a heart full of love and empathy, we provide gifts wherever we go and to whomever we meet. So practicing the law of giving and receiving can be as simple as this. If you want joy, give joy to others. If you want love, learn to give love. If you want attention and appreciation, learn to give attention and appreciation. If you want wealth, help others prosper. Each time we do this, we make a positive contribution to the divine love that is the source of all and all that is good in the universe. And now please repeat those affirming statements after me. I am open to receive all of the good that the universe has for me. I am open to receive all of the good that the universe has for me. I have an incredible capacity for living, loving, and giving. I have an incredible capacity for living, loving, and giving. I am grateful for the opportunity to give back from the abundance that I have received. I'm grateful for the opportunity to give back from the abundance that I have received. And so it is.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first Sunday in September. And guess what? It is a holiday weekend. And so I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what's to come after the lesson. I am grateful for a 4-day weekend, right? I will repeat that later on just so you can understand how much I love a 4-day weekend. But I want to take just a moment to talk about who we are as a spiritual community. I want to read you, try to do this once a month. I want to read you our who we are statements as Unity of Music City. Unity of Music City is an affirming interfaith spiritual community. And that means that we recognize, accept, and affirm who you are, no matter how you identify in the world. And we encourage a heart-guided exploration of the truth in all faith traditions. So you are in a judgment-free zone. No judging allowed. We honor the unique path of each person's spiritual journey, meaning that no matter what path led you here, you have something to bring to the table, and that your experiences and your wisdom can only enhance our collective spiritual experience. I like to think I know it all, but guess what? I don't really know much of anything, right? So that's why we're all here together to help each other learn. And that's what we are as a spiritual community. And last, I'll repeat that again. We encourage a heart-guided exploration of the truth in all faith traditions. There is truth to be had everywhere, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. So welcome, everybody, and I think we've got some good announcements coming up. Julie, what do we have here?
Welcome to 1984. Yes, these were mine, and I'm just impressed that I can still.
She can still fit in them.
Yep. All right. So, if the next chakra is not solar plexus, I'm in trouble. Anyways, it's one of my little challenges. So I'm thinking I'm just going to wear all yellow today, yellow socks.
I love it.
That's where we're going to stop. But anyway, it's a great happy September, everybody. And it's an old girlfriend's phone. No, I'm just kidding. Phone number. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to say a word from the '80s. Michael.
Jordan.
Jackson. Cool Ann.
The gang.
Frankie.
Goes Hollywood.
Oh wow.
Right?
Yep, that's it. Rick.
Springfield.
Or.
James.
Or. Yeah. All right. Billy. Last one.
Joel.
Yeah.
Ocean.
A lot of Billies.
Idol.
Excellent. Squire.
Squire.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my game. But welcome to Unity of Music City, everybody. And yes, I am changing because this is 57. This is not as comfortable as it used to be. All right. I'm about to read that again.
Where'd they go?
Oh.
No.
They were here earlier.
We got this. We got this. Yeah, beautiful. And it's on yellow paper. Wow. All right. All right. There it is. A lot of yellow out there today. All right. Announcements for Sunday, September the 3rd. All activity or meeting links and phone numbers can be found on the website, Weekly Happenings, Google Calendar, or you can always email the church. Crochet group for Centennial NICU babies. Contact Tammy C. for future dates and times. Her info is on the website. Right here in yellow, Tammy. Thank you. Spirituality and Recovery, every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. Weekly meetings based on the 12-step recovery principles. Literature-based and led by 30-plus year recovery members. All are welcomed who are interested in growing spiritually using the 12 steps. See Marge Hart for more information. Marge is also right here. And thank you for doing that. Appreciate everyone. Birthday celebration and potluck. Next Sunday, September the 10th, following the service, bring a dish to share. See Susan Hurt for more information. Susan, also right behind Tammy, and also in yellow. Leadership Council meeting, Sunday, September the 10th, here at Wren Road. The Story of Me, Saturday, September the 16th, from 2 to 4 p.m. The Story of Me is a fun and artistic view of learning about your church community. Have you ever wondered what your higher self looks like? Can you picture it? How about sharing with others what you think it looks like? The Story of Me is a way to learn about each other through the lens of spiritual art. Come with a curious and creative heart so we can learn from each other. How did we end up in unity? What topics and paths inspire you most? What is your story, and how do you want it to unfold? And this is presented by the Healing Arts. Important time change announcement. We now have a full contingent of folks for the Wing Blade Falconry experience on September the 17th. Please note that we will meet here at Unity at 4 o'clock to carpool to Wing Blade to arrive at 4:30. If you still need to pay, please do so between now and the event by paying directly to the church. Total payment is $70, and this is discounted from $95, so great deal. Be sure to specify that is for Falcons on your payment. If you missed the chance to sign up and have a burning desire to go, see Reverend Deb to see if we can squeeze you in. And is there a sign-up sheet still, or just see? Teens Unplugged, Monday, September the 18th. Please bring $10 for meal contribution. And finally, group meditation, Thursday, September the 21st from 6:30 to 7:30 here at Wren Road, guided and silent meditation. All levels of experience welcome, facilitated by Deb Champion, love offering appreciated. And Deb is also right here. So thank you all for doing that, and you all have a fantastic week.
All right. Well, a good way to start that off is by singing, isn't it? So today is a new month and a new monthly mantra. And this is a song that we're going to sing through the month of September that really reminds us of who we are as a spiritual community. And you know, I just mentioned the fact that wisdom can come from anywhere. And I want to sing this song this month because it's just this little nugget of wisdom in such a beautiful, simple, short, sweet song. And it's called What Would Love Do Now? So let's all stand and learn it together. Just before you say something you can't take away, take a breath and let it out. Try to think about what would love do now. Wondering if you should cross that line for good. Whatever you decide, ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? 'Cause everything is either an act of love or a cry for love. That's why for love we try for love. In the end, that's all we know that's real. Whether right or wrong doesn't matter, just as long as as you let your heart decide. Ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? Everything is either an act of love or a cry for love. That's why for love we try for love. In the end, that's all we know that's real. Whether thing you can't take away. Take a breath and let it out. Try to think about what would love do now. What would love do now? What would love do now? It's new to me too. Thank you so much, everyone.
Isn't that a fantastic song? I tell you, they were practicing that earlier, and I was just moved by it. It really ministered to me. Happy fall. Now, I know this is the time of the year when the people who want fall are putting out fall decorations, and the people who love summer are getting mad and in a very snarky tone of voice saying, fall doesn't start till September 21st. But that is astronomical fall. Meteorological fall starts on September 1st. So pumpkin spice it up, y'all. Yes. I invite you to enter into a meditative space with us. This is the time where as a community, we go into silence together. I invite you to get comfortable in your chair. Feel yourself supported. Completely supported. I invite you, if it feels comfortable to you, to place one hand over your heart and put the other hand on your belly, just above your belly button. Begin to feel the natural rhythm of your own breath. I invite you to reset that breath by blowing out everything you can. And then breathing deeply 3 times. As you continue to breathe, envision your breath entering your body, moving down through your throat area, and into the area where your hand is on your belly. See that inhale swirling around in a circle in your belly. And then when you feel the need to release the breath, it rushes back up through your body and out into the world. This is the seat of the self. This is the point of personal power. You are a powerful being, whole and complete. Beautiful. Continue to breathe into that energy and bring the collective power of each one of us into this sacred community as we breathe together in the silence. In the silence. Mother, Father, God, the source of our most sacred passions, the place of origin for our heart's desire, thank you for always being there, waiting for us in the silence, reminding us that as we dive deeper and deeper into an understanding of ourself and you and ourself in you, that we become more and more aware of your presence in us, through us, every day. And we are deeply grateful for this journey. We are deeply grateful for this community. We are deeply grateful for your presence in this experience of our lives. And so it is.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment, here to a new beginning here, and I'm seeing life so clear. for here I go. Closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.
I feel like we just need to breathe for a few minutes. Man, I tell you what, I don't think we've ever done that song coming out of meditation, and it fits so beautifully right there. I mean, that was just, like, seriously, I'm gonna need a minute. All right, I'm good. Good to see y'all. It's so nice to see you here. Thank you for coming. Welcome to everyone who's watching online. It's so fantastic to see you. We are climbing the ladder. We started out, of course, with Muladhara, the root chakra. We climbed up to Svadhisthana, the sacral chakra. And I want to remind you, before we even move along, that this kind of a study, studying a tool like the chakras, is nothing that can be covered in one presentation. It's kind of a lifetime study. And what you can hopefully hope to do is that each moment, just every time you encounter them, get another peel of the onion, right? Another layer of the onion. Get a different insight. Get someone else's view of it. So I encourage you to get other people's view of these as well. But today we step up to Julie's yellow, the Manipura solar plexus chakra. I love your commitment, Julie. I do. You know, Julie goes all in, and I got to love her for that, as hot as it is to put on that sweatsuit. I love it. That's amazing. That's amazing. So Manipura is Sanskrit for city of jewels. It can also be translated as the lustrous gem, but pur, P-U-R, is a word in Sanskrit meaning city or place. It's like when I've been to India, we stay founded Jaipur, Jay's city, right? And so that's what it is. This is the city of jewels. And 12 powers in the unity 12 powers, right in here is wisdom. It's also yellow. And this is where the wisdom is located. And so if we look at the overview of this, we have the color yellow. The element is fire. Now this makes, you know, I'm an Aries. I'm a fire sign. First time, I think I mentioned before, the very first time I ever went and got my oral photograph made, I was in Sedona, Arizona. I thought, oh, it's going to be a beautiful rainbow of colors because I'm such a fully enlightened person. And I, thank you. Thank you for that, Annette. That's perfect. And I got it back, and the whole damn thing was yellow. It was just yellow, right? All yellow. And I was like, what does this mean? She said, you're into your head a lot, aren't you? I said, well, yeah, I'm a teacher, whatever. But that's what this is all about, is this kind of intellect. Wisdom is right here. There's an incredible connection between the brain and the gut. Ask doctors who work in either one of those areas, and they'll tell you that there's a deep connection between those two. The location is the solar plexus. The plexus is a gathering of nerves, actually, right in here that meet. There is a kind of a gut brain that doctors have talked about, where there's actually nerve responses happening right there. It doesn't make decisions like our brain does. Like it can't balance your checkbook for you or anything like that. But It can this one, neither can this one, okay? Neither can this one. That's a fair point, fair point. But nonetheless, it is a kind of wisdom that is seated right in here. So if you remember, of course, that the root chakra's identity was physical and the sacral chakra's identity was emotional. So this one's identity is ego. This is where your self resides, right? This is where the person that you attach to and think of as yourself, this is where it is centered. And the orientation in the root chakra was self-preservation, in the sacral chakra was self-gratification. This orientation is self-definition. The individuation of me as a person on this planet. How am I unique? How am I different? How am I myself, right? And so we know, if you've ever heard me talk about the ego, then you know that I'm not one of those who just wants to dismiss the ego out of hand. Some people say we have to kill the ego, we have to overcome the ego. Well, good luck with that, in my experience, right? I think, in fact, that kind of falls into one of those areas of what you resist persists. And the stronger, the harder we push against it, the more energy it has coming back to us. I tend to think of the ego, my personality, more like a little toddler who needs to be kept in line every now and then. It's cute. I love it. I'm going to sit it on my lap. I'm going to rock it to sleep. But I'm also going to let it know that it's not in charge. Right? I'm going to remind it that it doesn't call the shots. Right? And so that is the orientation of this chakra. Its basic right, remember that in the root chakra, the basic right was to be. In the sacral chakra, the basic right was to feel. And in this one, the basic right is to act and be an individual. Right? To act and be an individual. This is the seat of the self, the individuated, unique expression of each person. This is the energy where Deb is Deb, and Tom is Tom, and Annette is Annette, and Ryan is Ryan, right? This is why we're different. This is a tough one to get, by the way. I remember my earliest years in Unity many, many years ago, over 20 years ago now, when someone said basically the same thing to me. You have to step away from your ego. You have to put yourself down. You have to not put yourself down, but, set yourself down and step into your divine being. And I pushed against that. I resisted because I kind of liked myself. Right? If I had nothing else, I had my personality. Right? If nothing else belonged to me, what belonged to me was the way I thought about the world and my sense of humor and how I saw things. How dare you tell me I need to put that down? It was one of the hardest lessons to get, to understand that this is a different part. That's why the boxes are such an important visual for me, to see those different layers of self and to remember that who I am is divine presence. Divine presence in me, animating me, right? This Manipura chakra is all about this human experience that my spiritual being is having. I get to make choices. I get to go a different way if I want. One of the intellectual forefathers of unity and Unitarianism is Ralph Waldo Emerson. And we talk about him quite a bit. And his most famous essay, one of his most famous essays, was one called Self-Reliance. And way back 140 years ago, 150 years ago, he was advocating things like insist on yourself, never imitate. Trust thyself, every heart vibrates to that iron string. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. And then he says, is it so wrong to be misunderstood? Jesus was misunderstood. Pythagoras was misunderstood. He said to be great is to be misunderstood. He was the great advocate for go your own way, right? And we need to just go into you can go your own way, right? So what are the issues? What are the energies that Manipura deals with? So Manipura is all about energy itself. Like, is your energy up? Is your energy down? Does your energy feel good? Is it flowing easily? Right? Activity, how I move through the world, how I act in the world, what I show up and do. It deals with the issue of autonomy. Do I have the freedom to make my own choices? It deals with the issue of will. And so a lot of times you might hear about folks who are doing really, really heavy spiritual work, and they start to have some stomach issues. Rev Denise used to talk about that a lot, about when you're really, really Unity calls it chemicalization, which is a really, really strong word for basically aligning my will with divine will. That's what it's all about. Aligning my will with divine will is what this is about. It deals with the issues of self-esteem, right? This is where how we feel about ourselves is held, right? Whether or not we feel okay about ourselves. I know several years ago I had a friend whose daughter was struggling with some mental health issues, and she also had really, really intense gut issues, Crohn's disease, really difficult time processing food. And when one of her doctors, we learned even way back then, 15, 20 years ago, we learned how many times that goes hand in hand, right? These difficult times and her issues with how she felt about herself, her self-esteem. And it deals with issues of power. Now, we're going to talk a lot about power today. Personal power. The power that you have in your life. Abe Lincoln said, and he really did, the internet didn't just say this, Abe Lincoln really said it. Abe Lincoln said, nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Right? See how a person acts when they have some power, or they perceive that they have some power. The relationship that we have as humans with the idea of power is perhaps one of the most dangerous relationships. We can look back over all of recorded human history and see the interplay of humans and power. Every war, every coup, every political election is a power grab. We're constantly grabbing power. You read the political headlines and see how much they sound like a game to be won, right? Oh, the president won over, got something over on a divided Congress, or oh, this party gained 3 seats in the House and lost. It's all about gaining and losing and having power. I don't know how we fix that, by the way. This is not a political science class this morning, but how we shift that to truly being public service, as I think it was kind of intended to be, but it's going to take a lot to wrench power away, the idea of power away from folks. So what are the challenges to Manipura? So these are the kinds of energies that we face that cause us to kind of block up here, get all gummed up. We can't quite have good and nice energy flow there. One challenge is authoritarianism. I got to tell you the truth. When I was a kid, imagining my adult life, I never would have dreamed that I was going to be talking about authoritarianism as much as I do, right? I thought we had kind of defeated it. When I was a little kid, we kind of look at Hitler and go, well, we defeated that. We defeated authoritarianism. Every now and then it would pop up in some far away random place like North Korea or something, but it was so far removed. I thought we were evolving beyond it, but we see it all the time now in our world, the idea of authoritarianism. And I got to be honest with you, I'm a little bit concerned, well, not concerned. At first I was a little bit shocked, but I'm not so much anymore, at how much the religious right seems to vibrate with authoritarianism. And there seems to be a connection there. But you know what? If you look at what some of us grew up in the religious right, it's not a surprise. It's always been there, right? But it's not just in politics. Consider that authoritarianism that can exist in religions. Right? There's one person who knows, who has the answer, and that's it. You just go with it. You don't dare, oh my God, what if my preacher saw me doing this? Right? Think about authoritarianism that exists in some families. And we may look at this and think, well, that's not so bad. Sometimes we need to make sure that the kids know mom's in charge, by gosh, mom's in charge. That can be a comforting kind of thing. I've got you. I'll guide you. But we all know those kinds of families where it turns into a scary authoritarianism, one person who everybody tiptoes around. Domination of will, any kind of challenge to your autonomy, your ability to make your own choices. Physical abuse, which is a direct challenge to physical autonomy. Any kind of abuse will whack up these chakras pretty significantly, but physical abuse for this one. Look at this one, age-inappropriate responsibilities. Age-inappropriate responsibilities, where I never got to be a kid because I had to grow up so fast. And I think about, for instance, I imagine, I'm not a first child, but I imagine that firstborn children will often get a pretty big load of this, right? I had to be mom junior. I had to grow up and take care of folks younger than me. And so that it imposes on your right to childhood, right? Your right to be parented. And then inherited shame from a parent. I think this one speaks to me to the importance of doing our work as parents and adults in children's lives, because we all know we can't be perfect. Everybody who's ever been a mom or a dad in here, I think, would agree with the fact that you make mistakes, you can't do it perfectly, there is no handbook that tells you how to do it. And so the best we can do is not try for that perfection, but to model working on ourselves, to model being good to ourselves, valuing ourselves, right? And then when children see that, perhaps that's even better than perfection. Because with perfection, a child grows up thinking, I'll never reach that. But with modeling working on yourself, the child knows they can do that too, right? So what do the excessive and deficient characteristics look like? Now, let me explain a little bit about excessive and deficient, because you can be blocked or you can be active and be excessive or deficient, right? So you kind of got a four-way kind of thing going on here. You can be excessive, you can be deficient, you can be blocked, you can be open. And so excessive blocks you from expression and may turn against the self, whereas excessive active can be dominating on others. It's putting out too much here, trying to be obsessive or dominating of others. And then deficient is often just a sense of being super depleted, right? The energy flowing outward is weak. And so here are some of the characteristics that will happen in an excessive or deficient, right? Excessive characteristics, someone's dominating and controlling and competitive and arrogant and ambitious and hyperactive, and I've never done any of those in my life. If you're an Aries, you already know you got chakra work to do here in the Manipura, because, right, we're a little bit stubborn, and so are the Tauruses, so don't give us any grief. And driven, right, where the deficient characteristics may be passive, lack of energy, poor digestion, tendency to be cold, kind of, collapsing in on yourself, if you will. That excessive person is the one who maybe is always telling you about how much confidence they have. I learned years and years ago that people with confidence never have to talk about confidence, right? If someone's telling you how confident they are, how powerful they are, chances are they're compensating for something. Not always, but chances are they are. This is the point, by the way, right here, where the manifesting downward current brings intention into form, and where the liberating upward current is bringing the raw energies from those lower chakras to meet right here. This is the point of personal power. So we've learned about the demons of those chakras. The root chakra demon was fear. The sacral demon was guilt. So what is the demon of this city of jewels that is the ego self? The demon of the self is shame. That horrible destroyer, shame. I think that shame may be the most damaging and harmful of all human emotions. In the sacral chakra, the demon was guilt. And that guilt is something that says, I did something bad. And that guilt can be harmful or helpful. We talked about that last week. We can live in a stew of guilt, or we could use that as a motivator to make different choices. It can drive positive change. But as opposed to guilt, I did bad, shame is I am bad. I am inherently bad, and it does not drive positive change. It's almost impossible to talk about shame without turning to Brené Brown. If you are a Brené Brown fan like I am, then you've seen her probably speak about this. When she's speaking in public, she often makes a little joke about the fact that it's so interesting to ride on an airplane as Brené Brown, and someone next to her says, what do you do for a living? And she says, well, I'm a shame researcher. That's what I do. I research shame, right? And so people are often like either wanting to move or incredibly intrigued by that. right? Shame researcher. So this is how she defines shame. Shame is the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love, belonging, and connection. Right? That is a load. So many people's religious experience in their youth had shame at the very core of it. The very core. The very first story in the Bible is a story about shame. Adam and Eve, right? Adam and Eve in the garden. Now I'm going to just, as a sidebar, say this right here, right now. This minister believes that the earth is older than 6,000 years old, all right? And like every religious tradition, the Judeo-Christian tradition has an origin story, right? It has a creation myth. It has a story about how people came to be. And those stories often describe the people's relationship with that tradition's understanding of God. And so Adam and Eve are in the garden. Life is beautiful because they don't know any better. They're naked and they don't know it. They're not ashamed, right? And so they do the one thing that God has asked them not to do. He says, don't eat. Whatever you do, just don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. There are actually two trees they talk about in Genesis, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's the one that God says don't eat from. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This is the tree of duality. This is the tree of individuation. This is the tree of, I now have some knowledge, I can make my own choices. Right? That's really what this represents. And they do that, and they eat of it, and they see themselves as naked, and they are ashamed. They believe they have to hide who they truly are, and that is a behavior of shame. Hiding who you truly are is a behavior of shame. Right? And then many of us were told later on that we were so horribly flawed, so inherently flawed, that the only way we could hope to be salvaged was to have the very Son of God brutally executed for us. And we were told this when we were too young to even think about a bad thing to do, let alone do it. Right? We were given this diet, a mental diet of guilt and shame, this belief that we were inherently flawed and unworthy of love. That you don't even deserve love except through grace. And grace was, you're horrible, but I love you anyway. Right? That was the grace. It wasn't, you're okay, you're perfect, you're loved, you're divine, you're sacred, you're good. It was never that message. And it wasn't just the Protestants, I know that from my Catholic friends. It wasn't just the Christians, I know that from my Jewish friends. And it wasn't just the religious, I know that from my atheist friends. That we're all given this shame. Brene Brown has the 1, 2, 3s of shame. They are this. We all have it. We're all afraid to talk about it. The less we talk about it, the more control it has over us. What a conundrum we're in. We all carry it. We're all going to pretend it's not there, but if we don't talk about it, it won't go away. Now remember that this is the seat of power, and when we hide our shame, we often see it. We're trying to hide our shame, which means we're also crunching down on our power, right? And so it comes squirting out sideways as a kind of distortion of power. We start thinking of power as power over people. We misunderstand what power is even supposed to mean. And that distorted power is often driven by a distorted form of pride, because we've got to put this to, there's a good pride, by the way. When someone tries to feed an entire segment of the population shame, they respond by holding pride parades, saying, no, we're not going to do shame. We're going to do pride. You can be proud of your children. It's a beautiful kind of pride to have. But there's a toxic kind of pride that squirts out when we try to hide this shame, and it's called hubris. And hubris has some dynamics. They're kind of like this. One, there's an inflated sense of confidence, that I've got to tell you that I'm confident kind of thing. It comes out tied to a need for dominance. I have to win. I don't know if any of y'all watch Succession on television, but I got to tell you something. If you've never watched it, it's about, big business and big money and all this kind of stuff. And if this is the way people with big money and operating big businesses live their lives, I'm just sorry for them. Their whole life is built around the need to dominate. And if they can't, it's falling apart. Doesn't matter how much money they have. No talk about peace, just about power and dominance. It's correlated with low self-esteem. Because have you ever know those people who have to be so confident because you know that they're hiding something they feel about themselves. And it's correlated with narcissism and shame proneness. Right? Narcissism and shame proneness. We talk a lot about narcissism these days. And we do this kind of thing. Sometimes I've seen this same thing happen in spiritual circles. Right? Where people become attached to their perceived elevated knowledge. But Ryan said it this morning, I don't know anything. Right? People become attached to their perceived elevated knowledge. We do learn from each other. That's important. But the best way I know to keep ourselves out of spiritual hubris and to make sure that we don't lean into this need to be an expert is with something called Shoshin. In Zen Buddhism, Shoshin means beginner's mind. To maintain an attitude of openness, curiosity, a lack of preconceptions, it acts as the counterweight to the closed-mindedness that is associated with thinking oneself an expert. It is a counterweight to the closed-mindedness of thinking oneself an expert. A true beginner's mind is empty and open. There's a willingness to learn. The Zen master Shunryo Suzuki said, in the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, but in the experts there are just a few. Because they know, right? They know. And the danger of expertise is that we tend to discard new information because we know something. And that knowledge becomes our God. We talked about this week at our full moon gathering, which was a beautiful time. There were about 13 of us gathered around, all sharing with each other, learning from each other. It was a wonderful gathering. We talked about why sometimes, if you've ever experienced in your life where you get on a certain path, and then for a couple years, and then you're like, okay, I'm done with that now, right? You step off that, you do something different. And I think that might be the universe's way, the Spirit's way of reminding you that the path is not the point. The path is not the point. And if we become too attached to that one particular path, then sometimes that path becomes our God. That path becomes the divine. And so the universe has to say, get off that path, try a different one for a while. Because they're all leading to the same place. From the beginner's mind, we can begin dealing with shame from a place of more compassion when we approach ourselves with this kind of open-heartedness. Brene Brown says this, if you put shame in a petri dish and cover it with judgment, silence, and secrecy, you've created the perfect environment for shame to grow until it makes its way into every corner and crevice of your life. But that's exactly what our natural impulse to do with shame, isn't it? To put it in judgment, to put it in silence, to put it in secrecy. That hubris that we built up to combat or cover our shame became our attempt at silencing ourselves, at making secret the part of ourselves that has to come to light in order for us to be whole. And that hubris often comes out as judgment to others who are dealing with their own shame. It's never going to heal it. Now, please keep in mind that I'm not advocating that you take your deepest, darkest secret and just fling it out into this room right now. That's not what I'm advocating. You always want to deal with that in a safe way, right? And the most important thing is that you're honest with it with yourself. Nobody else has to know. It's not necessary for anybody else to know, right? That's not the end of her quote, though. She goes on to say this. If, on the other hand, you put shame in a petri dish and douse it with empathy, shame loses its power and begins to wither. Empathy creates a hostile environment for shame, an environment it can't survive in because shame needs you to believe you're alone and it's just you. Right? And so this empathy is the most powerful tool of compassion. right? It is, as Brown says, an emotional skill set that allows us to understand what someone is experiencing and to reflect back that understanding and think about starting that empathy on ourselves. Being able to say to ourselves, I understand what you're feeling. We're going to bring it out into the light. I'm going to be gentle with you. I'm going to treat it with empathy with myself. That empathy and compassion become the nutrient-rich soil in which true personal power lies. That's where how all of these things are connected, right? Lao Tzu said that mastering others is strength, but mastering yourself is true power. And so what we want to be able to do is tap into our personal power, which is right here. It's right here and it's right now. The directed focus of your power lives in this now moment. So how do we access this personal power? Well, there's a lot of different ways. You've probably found a few of your own, and maybe you have some to share with me at some point. But here are 3 that I want to just offer up to you now as a way of tapping in and clearing this pretty quickly, right? Number 1 is this: breathe. The breath is the starting place for all wisdom, the starting place of the self. No one can do it for you, right? This is you breathing in the divine, breathing out the divine. The breath is spiritual work, and you're doing spiritual work every day. One of the 8 limbs of yoga, pranayama, deals with the breath, right? Prana means life force. This breath is the very life force of you. In meditation today, we did a reset breath. There are several different ways to do this. I used that one of blowing out and then just being with yourself for 3 deep breaths. You can do this in a bathroom at work. You can do this before you turn a corner. You can do this almost any place. Try not to do it when you're driving, especially if the light has turned green and I'm behind you. But nonetheless, you can do it almost anywhere, and it just resets you. It just feels that way. There are other ways to do it. You can do it with 10 full breaths in and out, right? And then at the end of the last one, exhale deeply and just put your hands drop and feel everything fall away. The second idea that I want to suggest to you is this: practice bringing power back home. Notice when you are trying to exert power over others, their behavior, their choices, their approach to a problem. It can be the most simple thing. Being so attached to the way something that should be done that we feel like we have to teach someone else. Have you ever done that? Like somebody's, I don't know, putting a new trash can liner in the trash can. You're like, well, here, let me show you how to do that, right? Just let it happen. And just let them do it the way that you might learn something. Heaven forbid. There is a place to teach. But as a teacher, I can tell you that the most powerful teaching happens when someone comes to you and asks for it. That is the most powerful teaching, not when you try to force it on them, right? Let go of the need to add value. We want to add something to the conversation. Well, what if we just didn't? You can't always do this. I'm just saying, look for opportunities to practice it. Someone is saying something and you're like, oh, that reminds me of a story. I need to get in there and talk. Just don't. Just let it go. Just listen to their story, right? Don't one-up them. We'll probably never let that go completely. We don't want to. But look for experiences. Let go of the need to win every argument. What would happen if this conflict you're in right now, if you just walked away from it? If you just said, that's okay, you win. Right? What a beautiful freedom that comes with that, I got to tell you. Okay, you win. Great. Super. Think about sometimes, even if you're deeply embroiled in conflict, what if you could step back and go, what would actually happen if I just let them have their way right now? What would actually, because sometimes it's about this big when our energy around it is about this big, right? And if we just said, let it be. Now that doesn't mean to be passive. It means that we step into beginner's mind when we begin to defeat the hubris that has us wanting to win all the time. I need this win. I need to get my point across. I need to make sure you understand me. I have my power right here. My point of power is in this now moment. My power is not power over, it is power through the healthiest expression of my divinely guided personal self. That power is so powerful that tapping into it makes us see how thin and transient and flimsy that sense of power over others really is. It's nothing. It's nothing. And third, I would recommend that you prioritize healing. The shame that we carry will never go away by ignoring it. You don't need to get up and confess, but you have to remove the veil of secrecy from yourself. We keep secrets from ourselves, and those secrets are always around shame. Bring it out in the open, even just to yourself. When we're able to bring it out in the open, we start down the path of detaching from it. We observe the shame, and we begin to remember that we're not it, right? Because what I can observe, I am not. We begin to detach from it, so that one day we find ourselves talking about that old shame we carried without even feeling the slightest sense of emotion around it, the slightest sense of energy, right? Yep, that's a shame I used to carry. Sure did. And we're so removed, we're so cleansed from it because we haven't carried it for so long. We might still have some work to do on it now and then. It might pop up. Our work is here as long as we're alive on this planet. Our work is here. But I'm doing my work. I might do my work through therapy or breath work or meditation or coming here or full moon gatherings or the friendships that I'm nurturing with people who allow me a safe space. Whatever tools I find useful in helping me move further and further down the path of wholeness and further away from the shame I was taught or inherited or somehow believed was mine. I practice daily stepping back into beginner's mind and away from the shield of hubris that I hold up so I'll be seen as something special. I practice leaning into the curiosity of Shoshin and away from the certainty of expertise. I find safe places where my healing is supported and my beginner's mind is respected and my individual expression is recognized as what it is, my personal power to be free, to be me. Because we're here for freedom. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Deb. Not only from the lesson, but from the music and from everybody here. I get wisdom from you guys just in conversations that we have. It's like, really? I didn't know that. So I want to take just a moment to slip into the gratitude that we share with each other here. And first of all, I want to know who made this beautiful curtain. Okay. So can we say thank you to Benita for bringing us this beautiful curtain? Because I don't know. I mean, it looks like a different wall. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's a great, beautiful touch. And she had the fortitude to think of that, right? And bring it to us. So we appreciate that. We appreciate you and everything you do. I mean, gosh, you guys, Benita does so much for us that we don't even know about, right? So thank you so much. What are you grateful for today? Yell it out to me. What are you grateful for? Health? Family? Sunshine. Life. And I'll say it again. I'm grateful for a 4-day weekend. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else have a 4-day weekend? All right. Hallelujah. Thine the glory. That's right. Well, we know that in giving back, there's just so many ways to give back to your spiritual community. One is through your time, and you're doing that right now. You took the time to be here today, to absorb all this wisdom, to give some of this wisdom back to us. That's so much appreciated. You give back with your talents, like Benita has a great talent for picking out killer curtains, what is the talent that you can bring to your spiritual community? What is the talent that you can bring to your community at large? We want to give back to the time and the talents, and the last thing that we give back is from our treasures. And that treasure comes from helping us pay the bills, helping us make this a world-class facility so that we can bring this message to the rest of our community. It's so important. It is so vital. This is the numbers. Yeah, thank you for putting that up. And it's so clear. Contributions $796, expenses $922. So the blue vase is in the back for you to give of your paper monies, and we have different other ways to give back in the Kroger Rewards card, and by volunteering, coming in and volunteering, helping us show up, helping us move the chairs around, helping us with hospitality, smiling, giving a hug. Please volunteer to give somebody a hug today, right? So thank you so much for giving back to this spiritual community. Let's all say the offertory affirmation together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give. Let's just say this and really take this in, and let's sing this as a prayer today. I live in the midst of infinite abundance. I give freely and fearlessly to life. I live in the midst of infinite abundance, and life gives back to me. I live in the midst of infinite abundance. I give freely and fearlessly to life. I live in the midst of infinite abundance, and life gives back to me. And life gives back to me. And it does. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Let's all stand up and say the prayer for protection together as we prepare to leave. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God is over us wherever we are. And all is well. Thank you so much, everyone. We will see you next Sunday. Say goodbye to everybody online. Bye-bye.